Hello, hello.
Hey, Raul, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kathy. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Perfect. So we are continue working in the personality types. Just a little bit disclaimer to the audience that are listening to us is that the intention of the personality types is not to judge anybody. This is not about judging anybody. It's about acknowledge that we have a little bit of everything and maybe we are dominant in one aspect of that personality, right? So that's one thing that I wanted to express. The other point is that the main objective of studying the personality types is to be able to communicate effectively. Someone that is, for example, individualistic, this is something that we are going to do right now, that we are going to develop with Kathy. It may be that if you understand what are the things that motivate him or her, you can use it in a way to really communicate effectively. But if you communicate to this person in a way that he's not going to be able to receive that communication, most likely you're going to get into a conflict. And those are the points that we need to sort of work, right? Because everybody has a little bit of everything. Um, so do you have anything to add to that comment, Kathy, before starting?
Well, I'm reminded of a coworker, and I remember when we left the office one day, it was pouring down rain, and I quipped, "Gee, what a beautiful day," just being sarcastic. And she looked at me and she said, "But it's raining." So, what personality type would you think this person was who had no sense of humor whatsoever and could not understand that I was joking when I said it's a beautiful day? So then I had to learn how to work with her because I've worked with other people and we quipped back and forth and, we had a running banter. But with this woman, she took everything literally. So anytime I spoke with her, I had to be concise and to the point and stop anything else. She's a great worker as long as you knew how to work with her. So that's what we're trying to help people with. When you have different people that
Yeah.
you're interacting with, whether it's at work or whether it's family members, if you understand their personality type and you understand what you can do to like this person, it means a better relationship for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. To your question, and I asked this question to you, what personality do you think she was?
I'd have to go back and look, wouldn't I? Because I don't have the different types memorized. What do you think? Well, go back to number
That
one.
person, basically the person, the person, basically those persons that are like that are tend to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Uh, there are people that are just want to be everything to be perfect. Most likely, this person is methodic is a perfectionist, right? If things are not within what they believe is perfection, they will just give you this kind of feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the perfectionists, that's what they are strive to be, and obviously that day was not perfect, and and she didn't understand that you were sarcastic, right? So that's you see that's why all of those when you when we start understanding how the personality types are, that's very powerful because we know that you know It's not that, it's not even that that person doesn't have a sense of humor. Her humor maybe is different, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting one.
Well, it's really important because my partner Gary and I, he always accuses me of being a perfectionist. And I always counter him by saying, we are a mortgage training institute. That means, as a school, people expect us to spell our words correctly and to have quality printed materials and well structured classes. Just like I'm looking at this particular PowerPoint that is up right now. Now, when I did this PowerPoint, the last word at the bottom, temperamental, was all on one line. But for some reason, when we use the SteamYard and you pull up the PowerPoint, it skews some of the words. So, audience, please believe me, the professional and the perfectionist in me had that right when when I thought it was done. Yeah, so Gary and I worked together now for what, 25 years. We've been together for almost 30. But he has finally come to understand, for me, it's important to do quality work, to to put something out there without no typos, and everything looks good, and everything is up to date and researched properly. Because a lot of times he would say, I don't know what the big deal is. And I'd say, well, you ran off these case studies and they're crooked. Well, so what? And I would say, but the student is not going to like that. They're going to wonder, what kind of operation is this that prints out crooked case studies? So, oh boy, here we go again. We got thrown off. I guess Raul got thrown off this time. Boy, for the last 2 weeks, our internets have been kicking us off like crazy. This has never happened before. But what I was talking about was the importance of quality work. So I guess that is the perfectionist in me. And ladies, you may notice that sometimes the guys are not so keen on having everything so perfect. But when you come to understand those personalities, especially for me, I run a business. And when I hire people, I look at their resumes very carefully because we are a training institute and we have a certain status that we want to maintain. And when I hire people, I always look for the ones that are, number one, very good with public, because I have to do a lot of research because mortgage finance guidelines change every year. When I hire somebody to help me update the materials, I want somebody who is going to do the research and study hard and make sure that everything is correct. So finding out a person's different personality trait can really help you on the job. And if you ever have any trouble with your relatives, we all have that problem, right? If you can learn to understand the different personality types, then you will be able to work better with your people in your family. That's the way it works. So we're waiting for Raul to come back. He has the PowerPoint, unfortunately, and it hasn't been pulled up yet. So let's just see what we can do. Very frustrating, isn't it? I don't know if you have noticed, but lately, even at the office, I'm noticing that my internet is going down a lot more than it ever did in the past. I know there was a particular state in the Midwest when everybody's internet was completely shut down for an entire day. So I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy. So let's hope that Raul will come back. There you are.
The connection got down, so I have to connect to another access
I
point.
was just telling the audience that I have never seen the internet shut down as many times as it has in the past month.
Oh no,
Not
there.
only here at my house, but at my office also. And it's very frustrating when I go into the office and there's no internet.
No, I know, I know, but it's part of life, so we just keep going. So
That's all you can do.
yeah, that's life, like what we can do
That's
is
exactly right.
so. The good news is that we know where we are, and we were developing the individualistic personality trait, and we were making an example.
Yes.
Also, one thing just to uh, place this in context, I'm going to share my screen. This is actually what I wanted to show to you. I don't know if you see a diamond here, a diamond shape.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This diamond shape basically is in Spanish, but I will translate this to you. Uh, Basically, it's a diamond that shows all of the personality traits. And each of us is dominant to one specific one, right? So you have the promoter or the leader. Then you have the methodic and the perfectionist. I'm going from left to right, by the way. Then you have the perseverant, tenacious. Then you
What is
have
that one? What was that one?
the perseverant, somebody that is very perseverant,
Persevering. Yeah.
perseverance.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's the French Spanish accent.
Right.
Perseverance and tenacious.
Hmm.
Is that well pronounced? Tenacious, you say?
Yes. Hmm.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
Um, then you have the dreamer. Uh, the, this is the person that likes to meditate. Then you have the creative. Um,
Well, that's funny. I had an employee one time who worked in the book room, and he would run off copies of the books and the case studies. And one day I walked in there and he was sitting there with his eyes closed and his arms crossed. And I noticed every time I went in there, that's what he was doing. And I finally asked him what he was doing. And he said, I'm meditating on the success of Capstone.
yeah,
That's the dreamer, right?
yeah. That's the creative and somebody that is, very goes against the rules
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And then you have the empathic, which is very social, tends to be very social. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have the leader, who is a promoter, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted to say, that, it's like each of us has this kind of, is you are dominant in one specific, and maybe you are weak in some of the other personality traits, right? So the job that we have to do internally is to see where is my strength, not the strength, but where is my personality driven stronger, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so this is a way to understand you. But then if you understand yourself, you will be able to understand others, right? So
Well,
somebody that is,
look at it this way, Raul. Let's say that you are a business owner. Let's say that you're wanting to be, you want your business to grow. And if you understand, there was a wonderful book that was written a few years ago called The E Myth. And in this book, author explained that for a business to be successful, there are three primary roles: marketing and technical. And if people understood this, when they were hiring their employees, they would look for the person who is the leader to do the managing. Then they would look for the person who is gregarious and can do the marketing. And then the person who is technical, who can ensure that all of the work that they are doing is top notch. And if you understood the different personality types, if you're getting your business up and running, those would be the three areas that you would want to concentrate on. So understanding personalities can make a huge difference in the success of your business.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's why you need to look for partners that complements you.
Yes.
Like me, I think my strength is communication, plays since tends to be very, very difficult into easy way to understand for others.
Mhm.
Sit just in the middle of the very big technical, because I can talk to a very sophisticated software developer, but at the same time I can talk to an executive or to someone that is um, that doesn't need to know all the details, but they would like to know the benefits, right? And so there is a translation between these two. But I am not good at organizing,
Mhm.
or I am good in creating things, but I am not good in making this. Well, it really depends, because I tend to do good PowerPoint presentations too, but it takes a lot of my time.
Yeah.
But when I do it nicely.
Yes.
But
Yes.
let's say that the order, uh, I am not so organized, but I have someone that is organizing the team charts, and
Right.
he is like the CFO of the company, because he tends to be very organized with the numbers, the budget, and all that stuff, right? And then I have a Grimmer, which is my other partner, where Grim speak is like amazing, right? So I think between the three, we sort of balance now, right? Because
Well,
I am.
let me give you an example of my personality. I was an on-site sales agent for a major home builder many years ago, back in the 80s. And you think about real estate agents and what they have to do to get business. They literally have to go to neighborhoods and knock on doors. Here's my card. If you ever want to sell your house, please get in touch with me. I could never do that, Raul. There is no way that I could go door to door. There is no way that I could do cold calling. But I understood I'm a friendly person. And if you put me in that model home and people come to me, I sold more houses than any other person in the United States for that company. But if you had told me you got to go knock on doors, I would have been a horrible failure. So you need to understand it's okay to have some shortcomings if you know how to compensate. For me, it was to become an on site agent. I still made a lot of sales, but people came to me to the model home. You see what I'm saying?
mm, yeah, I tend to be the same. I'm not good in calling, but I
Yeah.
am good when they come to me,
Yes.
and then I.
So we find somebody to make the calls and set up the appointments.
Mhm.
And then we can make the talk and find out what their needs are and take care of them, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's one of my skills. Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
All right, we deviate a lot. I
Okay.
think, but I think it was needed, because this is not about lecturing. This is about sharing, and
Yeah,
within the sharing, people will find, oh, that's right. You
that's
know.
right.
So let's come back to what we have put
Okay.
together,
So
and let's.
type 4 is called the individualist. Now, this person is the sensitive, withdrawn type. They're expressive, dramatic, very self absorbed, and very temperamental. They're self aware, sensitive, and reserved. They are emotionally honest, creative, and personal, but can also be moody and self conscious, withholding themselves from others due to feeling vulnerable and defective. They can also feel disdainful and exempt from ordinary ways of living. They typically have problems with melancholy, self indulgence, and self pity. At their best, they're inspired and highly creative. They are able to renew themselves and transform their experiences. Individualists maintain their identity by seeing themselves as fundamentally different from others. They feel that they are unlike other human beings and consequently that no one can understand them or love them adequately. They often see themselves as uniquely talented, possessing special one of a kind gifts, but also as uniquely disadvantaged or flawed. More than any other type, individuals are acutely aware of and focused on their personal differences and deficiencies. They constantly beat themselves up. They're self-aware, introspective on the search for self, aware of feelings and inner impulses, sensitive and intuitive both to self and others, gentle, tactful, and compassionate, highly personal, individualistic, true to self, self-revealing, emotionally honest, humane, ironic view of self and life, can be serious and funny, vulnerable, and emotionally strong. They would make great social workers, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They take an artistic, romantic orientation to life, creating a beautiful aesthetic environment to cultivate and prolong personal feelings. Heighten reality through fantasy, passionate feelings, and the imagination. To stay in touch with feelings, they interiorize everything, taking everything personally, but become self-absorbed and introverted, moody and hypersensitive, shy and self-conscious, unable to be spontaneous or to get out of themselves. They stay withdrawn to protect their self-image and to buy time to sort out their feelings. How do we appreciate individualists? Well, they can have both strengths and weaknesses. On the plus side, they tend to promote strong self-esteem, confidence, and self-sufficiency. Research has shown that people from individualistic cultures tend to exhibit greater well-being. Next slide. However, individualists can also have downsides. They tend to experience greater stress, have less social support, and have less ability to get along in society. People from these cultures are not only less likely to help others, they are also less likely to ask for help when they need it. These are the ones who keep in their dark office on the computer all day. One of the best and most empowering traits of individualists is that they create other self-reliant people. Friends, partners, co-workers, and even random acquaintances who help us see how self-reliance is within our grasp. An individualist can act like a torch that helps ignite other torches in a dark cave. Their determination and can-do attitude helps light the torches of other passive people by showing them that they have a fire within as well if they'll just reach for it and change their mindset. Pretty interesting, huh?
Okay, I think that's awesome, but let's put ourselves in a very nice challenge. And this is the challenge. So I show you the this diamond that we see here, right? So if we would like to define an individualistic person within this diamond, how we will, identify the individualistic, what will be the dominant trait. So could we say that individualistic tends to be a leader, a promoter? Can we say that their strength is being methodical, a perfectionist, or perseverant, perseverance, or a dreamer, creative, somebody that is very creative, empathic.
Well,
so we have that.
I think you have an individualist can be very perseverant and tenacious. If you give them, they're like a dog with a bone. They want that bone. So if you give them a task to perform, you know that they're the one who's going to get the job done. They don't require a lot of supervision. As an individual, they take responsibility and they act on whatever it is that you want them to do. So I think if you are a company, especially with software companies, where you sit in front of a computer all day, you don't have to be very sociable, but this person is the one who would get the job done. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be a combination of someone that is a perfectionist too,
And also,
perseverance.
they're sociable. You know, it said that the individual was very emotionally social. You know, they had a lot of empathy for other people. So it probably would be a good idea for them to do some volunteer work. Actually, if you could get them to do some volunteer work, it would open them up to be more social. If they
Yeah,
can feel the
yeah,
pain, they
totally.
are working in something like a, you know, in a, let's say, an animal shelter, or you're working with kids, or you're working with other groups. You know, I was on the board of directors for communities and schools for quite a few years before I retired from that. And watching those kids in their teens going through their angst that all teenagers seem to go through, I think that would be a great place for them to work, because they can actually relate to what those teens are going through. To a great extent, they're still going through it today as an adult. And that could probably help them work with the teens. So that might be something good too.
Yeah, so somebody that is very individualistic, if they want to um, improve, so to speak, their social skills, soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
that may help. Great. I'm going to stop sharing, and we continue on with now the investigator.
Oh, yeah, I could use an investigator. In my job, doing research on federal mortgage related different guidelines that change every year, I could sure use an investigator, because sometimes finding those new rules is like pulling teeth. So the type 5 investigator, they're intense, cerebral type, perceptive, innovative, secretive, and isolated. Investigators are alert, insightful, and curious. They are able to concentrate on and focus on developing complex ideas and skills. They are independent, innovative, and inventive. They can also become preoccupied with their thoughts and imaginary constructs. They become detached, yet high strung and intense. They typically have problems with eccentricity, nihilism, and isolation. At their best, they're visionary pioneers, often ahead of their time, and able to see the world in an entirely new way.
So can you pronounce this eccentricity?
Nihilism, nihilism,
Nihilism. Okay.
Nihilism,
Nihilism. Okay.
and
Great.
isolation. And I can't remember what it means. Actually, I was thinking of a TV program called NCIS Australia. And if you go back a slide, this there's a particular actress on that show who is the computer geek, and this fits her to a T. They are high strung and intense. And, you know, these people with the NCIS, they're always involved with shooting guns and going for the bad guys and everything. But they need this person to help them track down the bad guys. And nobody does it better than this girl on the NCIS Australia show. Perfect personality type. And of course, the boss is always having to say, calm down, it's going to be okay. They're investigators. They want to find out why things are the way they are. They want to understand how the world works. whether it's the cosmos, the microscopic world, the animal, vegetable, or mineral kingdoms, or the inner world of their imaginations. They do not accept received opinions and doctrines, feeling a strong need to test the truth of most assumptions for themselves. Great person to have on your staff, I can tell you, if you can calm them down.
Yeah.
So, how do you appreciate investigators? The challenge to appreciating investigators is to understand that they can pursue whatever questions or problems spark their imagination and maintain relationships, take proper care of themselves, and do all the things that are the hallmarks of a healthy life. Investigators are not interested in exploring what is already familiar and well established. Rather, their attention is drawn to the unusual, the overlooked, the secret, the occult, the bizarre, the fantastic, the unthinkable. Investigating unknown territory, knowing something that others do not know, or creating something that no one has ever experienced allows them to have a niche for themselves that no one else occupies. They believe that developing this niche is the best way that they can attain independence and confidence. Makes sense. The problem is that while they are engrossed in this process, they're not interacting with others or even increasing many other practical and social skills. They're the ones you put in the office in the back. They're not social. They just want to dig in there. They devote more and more time to collecting and attending to their collections, less to anything related to their real needs.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about this one, the investigator. What do you see the main difference between the investigator and the other one that we just did? So we have the investigator, and then we have the individualist.
Individualist. Uh-huh. Well, investigators don't give up until they find answers.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest difference. Individualists, they tend to be self-absorbed, and an investigator is going to dig until they get the answer. And like I said, I had an investigator on my staff that I love dearly because she could find out different, there's so many federal regulations relating to the mortgage business. It makes up the biggest portion of our training, like 200 pages in the manual just on Fed Reg. But this girl could find the updates when I couldn't. I mean, I'm no good at researching. I'm the first one to admit that. So having somebody on your staff to be the investigator, wow, what a plus they would be.
And what will be the downsides of someone that has an investigator personality?
Well, they don't play well with others. That is always a big problem. Like this woman who worked for me, she wanted to keep to herself, and it was like pulling teeth to get her to join in any of the office activities. But, I had really great people that interacted well, and we were a spiritually minded group. So they were able to bring this woman out of her shell. And would you like to know one of the things that one of my employees did to bring her out? They brought her a puppy. And do you know she still owns that puppy today? It's 20 years old. And wow. She still has that puppy. But getting her a puppy, one of my employees got that idea, and that completely changed her personality. But of course, we know why, because love is the most powerful force in the universe. So if you ever want to bring this particular person out of their shell, get them a puppy. Unconditional love. They don't have to perform for the puppy. They just give them a lot of love.
That's it. That's very nice. That's very interesting. And you compare the traits, the challenges of that personality of the investigator versus the individualistic. So how you make a parallel. So
We'll go back to the individualist. Let me look at some of the individualist comments again. Go back one more. How to appreciate them. Well, they tend to promote strong self-esteem, confidence, and self-sufficiency. They tend to exhibit greater well-being. So, go to the next slide now. They can also have downsides. They experience greater stress. They have less social support, have less ability to get along in society. They're not only less likely to help others, they are also less likely to ask for help. Well, I would say that individualists were never one on my staff. So what kind of job would you think would be best for an individualist?
so for an individualist will be assigned tasks that so it will be an assigned task that there has to be a task that this person will feel that is all about, it's not about him, but it's all about his effort.
Well,
Because
maybe
he
he
doesn't,
owns his own business. Maybe this is the person who starts their own business, because then they don't have to take orders from anybody.
Yeah, but yeah, that could also be that could be obviously, you know, uh, an individualistic, right? Um, but I believe, like I said, it's not just it's one domain. Is you have different areas, right? It's just that you see that your dominant part, the dominant of your personality, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I believe someone that is able to push forward wants results and to be within their power. So that's why they don't ask for help. They prefer to do it themselves because they think if they do it themselves, they are assuring success.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That makes
And
sense.
so and sometimes they are so busy that they tend to forget that there are other people around them.
Yeah.
Right?
I have
So
worked with quite a few people like that back before I started my own business.
yeah, so that's the downside because in a connected world that we live, we that's not and and it's not possible now. Maybe before, yes, but now we are connected and we need help, right? Is because we have so many domains of the business that is almost impossible that you will be able to know it all. So that means that for people that are individualistic, they need to get out of their comfort zone. And when you need help, you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
Sometimes individualistic sense that because you just tell once, hey, help me, that's it. You need to get out of that and say, hey, I need help. Remind that you need the help. And so I think that's one of the traits, that not being able to, that the downsides of the individualistic, right? Not able to express when they really need help in something and they try to keep it resolving themselves. And that's a downside.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about individualistic is that they want the job done and they will do whatever it takes. And they most likely will try to avoid any help. See, it's not like one disqualifies the other. It's just to try to find the right balance
Mm-hmm.
so that you know what you should expect from somebody,
I agree.
right? So with the investigator, obviously they are so focused in research, they are so focused in getting the answer, they isolate themselves, they try to get deep into getting the problem solved. I think they are sort of problem solver kind of personas.
Yeah. They want to
Um,
know what makes things tick.
yeah, yeah, they're not going to stop until they get to the bottom of the of the of the answer.
Yeah.
The risk with that is that while they are doing that, they are maybe losing some time
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes things needs to be very practical. You need to get deep down. So I will put like you asked me how you will put your personal. I think an individualist could be a very good salesperson, and then the investigator could be a very good in R&D, in research and development in a company.
Absolutely.
Um,
Sure was helpful in my company.
yeah, so I think that is what I will take. If I have to take this in my in my company, and I see that I see different personalities. Um, the way is how you communicate so that you keep everybody engaged. That's the trick. So that's why we
Yeah.
are studying this, and that's why I love this. I keep coming with this diamond because I was so amused when I start like understanding, what this is another way of reading, the leader and the promoter, the methodology and perfectionist,
Mm-hmm.
um, the the tenacious and how you say it?
Perseverance.
Perseverant, perseverance,
Yeah.
perseverance. I tend to pronounce that because I have this French still thing on my accent with the Spanish one, and it's just a perseverance. And the dreamer and the meditative, the creative, and I don't know how to translate rebelde. Rebel could be right. Um, gonna, gonna put Google Translate on that one. Uh, Empathetic, social. So I think maybe what I would like to do when we finish those, because basically we are taking an angle from the Enneagrams, right? Institute,
Mm-hmm.
but this was developed by us a Spanish uh, um, psychologist that also do business coaching. His name is Alex Rubira.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was, listening to his presentation, and I really was very impressed. So maybe I'm gonna share this with you, and maybe we can do some closed captioning so that we know we have the English version.
Mm-hmm.
We develop and then we share this because I think that will be very complementary to what we are developing with this, and I think it brings a lot of value as well, having another
Just
angle.
just going through the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, has opened me up to observing people and my everyday business. When I go to work or when I'm walking down the hall or when I'm greeting people in the building or anything, I'm always wondering now what type personality would I call them? And I think that it's very helpful if we understand the different personality types. It
Yeah,
makes for,
I think that yeah, I think what we need to do is to match the personality type with this diamond, so we understand. Oh, is the investigator more meditative, more leader, more like? So if we sort of cross reference
well,
this,
they're tenacious and they persevere. That's what an investigator does.
yeah,
They would be the perseverant and the tenacious one.
yeah, most likely. But the perseverance and the tenacious has some other traits that we will develop. Alex developed those. Like
Mhm.
they go to church, for instance, they meditate, they it's very interesting. I want to share it to you so that you you have this closed captioning that translate between English to Spanish or
Mhm.
Spanish to English. I was like very amused. It's like it clicked to me like that. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. Well, I think we reached our time. Um, I just want to thank everybody that will eventually listen to this podcast. As you see, when we are developing those lectures, it's not a lecture. We are just sharing, you know, talking, developing, and we are learning actually. I am very appreciative because we every time I am with Kathy, I am learning because we ask questions and we start like interchanging ideas and it just enrich the knowledge
Mhm.
because we come from different angles and we are different generations, but what it really ties together is our spiritual bonding.
Mhm.
And so that's the glue. But my point of view maybe comes from a different point of view, and Kathy has a different point of view, and then we while we are talking, we are learning,
Mhm.
and everybody benefits from these questions and conversations. So that's awesome. So I hope if you are listening to this podcast, we are not trying to convince you. We are not saying we are the masters of the universe. We are just human beings as you, but we decided that we're not going to step up and we are just share.
That's
Right?
exactly right. And I remember when I got on my spiritual path and I asked God to give me the power to discern the truth. And I would go to the bookstore, I've told you before. And while I was browsing through the books, one would fall off and hit me on my foot. And it was always one that was a life changer. So, what you need to understand is the importance of becoming an investigator and reaching out and researching and finding out for yourself. I mean, there are so many people, Raul, who live their lives in fear. And I'll never forget the story, the true story of the young girl who died and came back. And it was a near death experience. And she told her mom and dad about the angels. And when they went to church, and she told everybody that she saw the angels, and the church members actually came to their house and said, either you shut your daughter up or you can't come back to our church, because they were filled with fear. And don't let fear hold you back. Just ask God to give you the power to discern the truth, but move forward and do your own investigating. And it's amazing what world will open up to you when you do that.
I tend to agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. So don't ever be afraid to do your research and to reach out to different things, asking God for guidance. Ask Him, because I'd go and pick up a book and I'd hear no, and I'd put that book back down. So I trusted that God was guiding me.
Yeah. Sometimes we just don't understand, but that's there.
No, they just need to let go of their fear.
It's just the awareness that it will happen um, somehow. Like
Yes.
Kathy was a book. Uh, in my case, maybe was no. I'm pretty sure was the termination of relationship that wake me up. Um, so maybe you will experience, you who are listening to us, maybe it will be a divorce, maybe it will be the death of someone you love, maybe it will be near death end experience. We just don't know, but you just need to have your heart open and trust the process. And the process is sometimes hard, but I can assure you that it's the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right way.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, guys and girls, bye now, and we will see you next Thursday.
And always remember how much you are loved unconditionally.
Yes. Love is the power.
Yes.
Bye.